I want you all to think of the greatest leader you had, the person that influenced you the most in your life. Think for that, for just a second. You can close your eyes if you want, if it helps. All right. Joe, who did you think of?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Gage.
My friend Brian.
Your friend. Yes, everyone has had great leaders in our lives that influenced us, that changed the way we think, the way we live, and how we see the world. So when we search on Google about great leaders that existed, we can think of Nelson Mandela, that gave an amazing example of forgiveness, of creating a new culture. Martin Luther King, that had the courage to step up and share his vision with the people. Or Abraham Lincoln, that was strong and was able to unite his country during a great time of war. So those leaders are amazing, and they shaped the world in some or other ways. But today, I would like to talk about my greatest leader and how I learned from her. I would like to talk about my grandma, Zilda Meyer. But before I talk about her, I would like to share something that sometimes when we think about leaders and how they influence us, that we think about how sometimes they do not step on a stage to do it. But great leaders, they have the strength to do what is needed, even when it's hard. They have the faith to keep going, even when they are not noticed. They don't give up with the people they love. So, my grandma, Zilda, she was a great leader since the beginning of her life. She was born in very poor conditions. And one example is that the first pair of shoes that she had was when she was 8 years old. And her parents also didn't have money for school materials. So she wasn't able to go to school when she was young. But she didn't give up. She taught herself how to read and how to write. And she would get a random book that she would find and some notebook, and she would just copy the letters one by one, and that's how she learned. And just think about that for a second. Most kids nowadays complain about not getting the newest iPhone, and she just wanted to get some good shoes and some education. So in 1963, she met some American missionaries. They introduced her to the gospel, and she saw in the gospel of Jesus Christ a way that she could help her children stay in a good path and have a good life. So she was baptized in that year. But something interesting is that when the missionaries would walk in the door, my grandpa would walk from the back door out. And he was a tough German, did not want to listen to them at first. But all of her 8 children were baptized, and they would go to church every Sunday. It was not every month or but every Sunday without failure. She always said that it could be raining knives, but we're still going to church. And they will go, and they will walk until church. And that back in the day, it was multiple times in the week that you have to go. But they didn't. She didn't give up. That was her mission. Make sure her children were in the right path. They learned the right principles. One thing that impresses me the most is how she waited 40 years until my grandpa Alexandre was baptized and accepted the gospel. It was 40 years of love, 40 years of patience, 40 years of believing that she could have all of her family united. And that, for me, was a great example of leadership and of not giving up. She was always active. I remember for the last 4 years of her life, I had the privilege of living with her and learning a lot of things from her. Even when she was 91 years old, she would go to the backyard, plant some corn, treat her garden, her flowers. She would go on walks almost daily. And to be honest, it was hard to keep up with her pace sometimes. And that was an example of me of how hard work really pays off. She worked hard for her entire life, and she still had health and energy, even when she was 91, 92 years old. She always read, and I always admire her for reading every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And after she learned how to read, she never stopped. So she would read the scriptures multiple times in the year, many books from the church, and always seeking knowledge. And that also showed results in her life. It was even funny that every week people will come to her house to ask for advice. And it was like family members, relatives, friends, and sometimes even people she didn't even know, like a friend of someone that knew someone that told, oh, go talk to her, she's gonna help you with that. And they would go to her house, they would vent about their problems, they would share, oh, I'm struggling with my marriage, I'm struggling with school, and they always left better than how they got there. She always made him feel uplifted and encouraged, and she had a way of using the words to make you believe and make you feel that you can do things, even when they feel impossible. And something funny is that she had also the courage to participate. She got invited to participate in the 2010 World Cup commercial for a local gas station. And I'd like to show you guys just a 30-second. You can press play.
Okay. Veio participar da promoção? Promoção Embaixadinha Premiada TV. A cada R$50 em compras você ganha um vale Embaixadinha. Quanto mais embaixadinhas você fizer, maior o seu prêmio.
Yeah, there's still one more. So, of course, at the end of the production, there was a stunt actor. She didn't really do those skills with the ball. But that really showed me, well, she was like already almost 90 years old, and she wasn't afraid of going out of her way and doing new things and learning things. And that was an example for all of us that watched her doing those things, and her courage to go out and believe. And I learned many things. And we know great leaders like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, or even Abraham Lincoln, or many others shaped the world. But from her, I learned that hard work, even when everything is difficult, having faith and being faithful even when life is hard, loving people and not giving up on them, and having a vision of who they can become. So I can say that I am who I am today because of my grandma Zilda, and I'm really grateful to have her as my grandma. Thank you.